Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to my first video. I'm putting this one together quickly for the Benro Polaris group, so hello everyone from there. I'm going to run through a night of imaging using the Benro Polaris and the Alpaca driver. So run through the setup, the pre-reqs, how it all works, and then controlling and imaging with N.I.N.A. There are a couple of things that you do need to have set up before heading out, so I'm going to run through all of that now, and then I'll bring you with me and we'll take a look outside our sphere. Let's get to it. So before even getting into this, we're going to need to pull out the phone and get ready to turn on the Polaris, because we're going to go through a couple of steps that you're all very used to, but we're doing it slightly differently, and I'll point out the things that are changing. So we're going to start by turning on the Polaris. First things first, we're going to go onto airplane mode, turn off Wi-Fi, search up the Benro Connect app, open that one, and we're going to pair to this thing as normal. So we're in the app. We're going to go to Astro mode straight away, and I'm just going to randomly calibrate this. Now you can see that calibration is successful. Now I'm even going to do the same thing. I'm just going to hold on to this quickly, but let's go to the sun. So you can see this has gone to the sun. I'm just going to press confirm. That's it. Time to get on the laptop. So once we've gotten to this point, what we're going to do is we're going to go down to Wi-Fi and connect to this Polaris network on the laptop or computer that you're going to be bringing with you. So then as soon as that's connected, we're going to boot up the Alpaca driver. So this is connected. We're going to immediately boot up the Polaris driver. Cooking with gas. So once that's all set up and installed, the driver's running, at this stage, we're ready to set up N.I.N.A. Top left equipment, then we're going to go down to mount. As you can see, there's been a Benro Polaris auto selected here. So you can kind of click any of these. I typically do this middle one. Press on. We're connected, telescope connected. Now to kind of prove that, there we go. Responds to touch perfectly. East, west, I'm not going to do up, down because it's precariously sitting there. Press park will return to home, like double clicking the joysticks. So connecting your camera is very similar. You'll just plug it into the computer, select it from the drop down, and press that power button. There's a couple of things that we do need to do to make sure that this will work, especially when we're away from internet. Now one of those things is to download the offline sky map. So as you can see here, going to the framing tool, I've selected this offline sky map. So let's say we want to go to the LMC, load image. There you go. It's like a stellarium in N.I.N.A. So this is kind of how you're going to be doing your framing, move around, that kind of thing. We'll run through that tonight. It's important to have this downloaded, so I'll include the link in the description, but you just download it from N.I.N.A's site. It's a 3 and a bit gig file. Download that, it'll work for you. The other thing you need is for plate solving, which is a massive value add with this driver. You need to download and set up ASTAP Solver. I'll include the link for ASTAP in the description, but basically you want to get the program and you want to get a star database. I'll link the ones that I've downloaded that work really well for me. You can see it up here on the screen. Download a couple of these, you just install them normally. Go into N.I.N.A, put in the program files location of ASTAP, then set it as your plate solver and blind solver. So this means that we can do proper plate solving offline, and it works quite reliably. It is important to go into options, equipment, and up the top here where you have your camera and telescope, make sure that's correct. So the correct pixel size, put in the lens details you've got, because the plate solver needs that to be pretty accurate. So I'm going to be using a 300mm lens tonight. Put that in, f4, Nikon Z6 pixel size, and then we're ready to go. So let's get out there and I'll run you through how to use this thing. Okay, so here I am, we're at a dark sky spot here, putting everything on the tripod, and we've connected everything to N.I.N.A. following the steps earlier. First things we're going to do is we're going to park the telescope. So into N.I.N.A equipment, mount, park. This is where we're going to do our leveling. So you can see me here. I've got just a leveling app on the phone. That works perfectly. Level it to 0.3 degrees. And we're going to unpark the scope and we're going to do our first polar alignment. So essentially we're going to go into the imaging tab and just take a frame. I usually take a 1 second exposure. Then on the top hand in that image bar, we're going to hit plate solve. And what this does is it's the exact same thing as manually going through the alignment process in the Polaris app. So this will do it perfectly. Instead of having to move it and center the star, this plate solves where it is and puts those exact coordinates through the app or through the driver and into the app, and it perfectly aligns it. So from this point onwards, we're then going to go into our framing tab and do our first slew. So let's go in here. We're going to go to the Eagle Nebula and it's going to do a go-to. It's going to do a plate solve automatically. So this is now the second plate solve. It'll align, correct that go-to. So it'll perfectly center the Eagle Nebula. And then it'll update the alignment again. So every single time you do a manual plate solve through the imaging tab or you do a go-to and center, that'll update the alignment. It's perfect. Every single time you do anything, the alignment will be perfect and it'll track that much better. So once we've done all of this and we've done a go-to, we can get into sequencing. Okay, so we're aligned and ready to go. Let's go to the framing tool again. And in the bottom left-hand side, you can click on Add Target to Sequence. Now, we'll just use the legacy sequencer. It's a bit easy to use. And this will bring the coordinates from the framing tool into the sequencer. So let's say we want to take 50 frames at 20 seconds. We can insert that here. Now we want to open target options and enable slew to target and center target. This means that every single time the sequencer runs, it's going to slew, center, and update the alignment. Now, what we can do is we can save this sequence to the desktop or wherever we want, and then let's open it a few times. So what you can see here is it's just opening it again and again and again. And this is a bit of a cheat because it means that essentially every 50 frames, because we've enabled that slew to target and center target, it will re-center the target and update the polar alignment. So if we run this 5-6 times, this alleviates the drift issue that a lot of us experience with the Polaris because it'll always be checking and centering the frame every 50 photos. So you can, depending on how much time you have, duplicate this sequence as many times as you like and it'll keep it centered. So let's go now and press run. And essentially what that means is it's going to slew to the target, it's going to plate solve, it'll check that it's centered. If it's not, it'll re-center it and it'll start imaging. It's genuinely as easy as that. We're going to let this run and see how we go with the image at the end.